Okay, welcome everybody. So we're going to start in a yin pose today, and um, it is just after a full moon. We've just been having it this week, so I want to do a grounding, kind of rounded, forward folded pose, and I actually would love to do Paschimottanasana, which I know isn't appropriate for everybody. So child's pose is a nice option. So I'll just show that first. And Paschimottanasana, the English name is like seated forward bend. So if you want to do child's pose, you're going to have toes together, knees wide. You could put a bolster or something in between your thighs and just kind of come forward over it. If you're going to take the forward bend with me, it's lovely and we'll do it gently, but just if you have some lower back issues or if it just doesn't feel like it's going to work for you, feel free to take child's pose instead or lay on your belly. That's an option too. Here's how you might do it with some props. You could have something underneath your knees. You could sit up on a block and just kind of bend forward that way, just nice and gentle. We're just getting started, so please don't pull, at any time, but we haven't warmed up yet, so don't have too much expectation about what this is going to feel like. I'm relatively flexible in my hamstring, so if I sit right on the ground, my sit bones do touch. So for me, it's okay to do it without props, and I'm going to start with that. That's how I've been doing this pose a bit this week. And it's a good idea to start with your feet flexed, but you can kind of let them relax with time, though I'd prefer that they stay roughly kind of toes pointing up to the sky. So you can sit up tall and then just kind of soften. And again, don't feel like you have to go too far too fast. If it feels like too much gravity-wise, you can also use props to just support your way down so that you're not feeling like you're hanging too much unless that feels safe and good for you. I'm pretty long in my hamstrings. I can often get my elbows right on the ground, and I like to kind of tuck my thumbs into my calves just to keep my legs relatively straight, and then let my head relax. And we're not going to be here too long. Maybe about 3 minutes, but if you start getting red lights, if you're feeling like it's enough, just very gently roll out and lay on your back. Otherwise, just allow your breath to move into your back body. The Western hemisphere of the body, the space through which we receive. You may want to take a moment in this shape to just check in with your relationship to receiving right now. And one of the ways that I've been thinking about this lately is receiving myself, by which I mean the range of emotions and reactions that I have that don't always agree with each other. I've been practicing just making room for all of them, receiving every part of me, even the parts that I have some discomfort with. Maybe it lands for you in a bit of a different way. I'll give it some time. And if you're still comfortable here, I'll just offer about 10 of your own breaths if that works for you. And if you're feeling like you need to come out now, just do that gently, slowly, and lay on your back. We'll meet you there. And if you're in child's pose, you could definitely stay there a bit longer. You can generally hold that pose a bit longer than this one. And if you are ready to come out of the forward bend and you haven't yet, just gently roll yourself up. And I just kind of like to scoot my bum forward and slowly lay my spine right down onto the mat and have my knees bent and my feet on the floor. And then we'll do just a little bit of pelvic tilting when you're ready to reset the lower back. So as you inhale, expanding the belly and arching the back away from the mat, keeping the bum down. It's just an arch in the lower back. And then on the exhale, flattening the back to the mat. And then doing that a few times. And if you've been in child's pose and you're feeling like you're ready to come out, you can gently rise up. And usually what I like to do is on hands and knees, just extend one foot back at a time. You could do downward dog too. And then we're going to kind of aim ourselves towards cat and cow on hands and knees. So if you've come out of child's pose, you're kind of already in that spot. If you're laying on the back with me, let's just take our time to get there. There's no rush. So you might want to do a little bit of intuitive movement, which means kind of allowing your body to move in the ways that feel most right to you. And right now, for example, one thing that's feeling good is washing my knees from side to side like windshield wipers. This can be a nice way of resetting the back as well. Just gently mobilizing the back body after having been in that gentle yin-like opening. And wherever you are with this movement, maybe just taking a moment to check in with your breath, just start to invite a deeper breath, maybe an ujjayi if you feel ready for it. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second if you're new to that word. And then we can make our way to hands and knees. So I'm just going to roll over to one side and come up that way, finding hands and knees. And the cat and cow is inhaling into a little back bend shape and exhaling to round, but we can keep that intuitive movement quality here. So you're more than welcome to keep your eyes closed and just kind of explore how your body would like to move here. This could also be a nice moment to start your playlist. Get a little bit of music happening if you like having music during your yoga. So there could be circles, there could be side to side movement. Some of you might be ready for downward dog already. And as I mentioned, we're just to the waning side of the full moon. We just had it, I believe it was yesterday. And sometimes the full moon can feel really energizing. Sometimes it can feel really intense. Sometimes it can feel kind of exhausting. So I do like a yin flow around the full moon because the energies can be a little all over the place. It can really depend on the cycle and our personal experiences and bodies. So let that intuitive movement kind of teach you about what you might need today in this particular moment. And I'm just working my way up into downward dog at this point. Maybe still moving with that sort of bending one knee at a time. Stillness can be intuitive too. And then we'll walk to the top of the mat and meet in a standing forward bend. And still do this intuitively, bending the knees, resting elbows on thighs, hanging down is an option. Fingertips on the earth, swaying side to side is an option. Excuse me, bending one knee at a time. And when you feel ready, we can roll up. So you can go nice and slow, bending the knees, Leaning back into the heels and slowly rising one vertebrae at a time. If you prefer to come up with a flat spine, that can work too. And I'd love for you to take a few moments at the top to move intuitively again. So that could be stillness, absolutely. It could be rolling your shoulders. It could be wiggling, fidgeting. Some of you might resonate a little bit more with dancing, especially if you have music going. And if you haven't, really start to find that Ujjayi pranayama. So thinking of the diaphragm lifting and widening on the inhale, and on the exhale, gently drawing in and down. In and out through the nose, ideally, and there's a little whispering sound that happens. And eventually we'll settle into our Tadasana, into our standing pose, steadying the breath if you haven't. And let's take our Surya Namaskar. So when you're ready, let's reach the arms up to the sky. Exhale, dive down over your legs. Halfway lift, draw your heart forward, and then step your right foot behind you. You can lower your knee down, you don't have to. Inhale, rising up into your low lunge. And then downward facing dog. As you exhale, connecting the palms, stepping back. Come forward into a plank. You're welcome to use your knees. And let's lower all the way down if possible for this first one. Point the toes, roll the shoulders back, lift the heart, little baby cobra. And then returning to downward facing dog from there. Okay, on an inhale, the right leg is going to go high up to the sky. And on your exhale, step it through. It helps to lift up the left heel. Back knee can lower, reaching the arms up, inhaling. And then forward bend to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, draw forward. Exhale and melt. Then the knees generously look forward, rise all the way up. And as we exhale, we'll dive all the way down. Halfway lift, draw forward. The left foot steps back. Coming into your lunge, long side of the waist. And then downward facing dog. Come into your plank, on or off the knees. Lower down, or maybe it's a little push up. Elbows hugging in, and then you can pull through to upward facing dog. Hips and knees lifted. And then return to downward dog from there. Left leg rises on your inhale. Don't let me rush you. And step through. Back knee can lower, inhaling into your lunge. And then forward bend to the top of your mat. Lengthen. And fold. And bend your knees, rising all the way up. And then bring the hands together in front of the heart. And then we'll begin again, reaching the arms up to the sky. And dive. And lengthen. And right foot back. Inhale, lunge. And exhale, downward dog. Inhale, plank. Lowering all the way down, maybe a little push up. And that could be just like a centimeter push up. This little sequence could always be cat and cow as well. Then returning to downward dog. Right leg to the sky. And through. Inhaling. And forward bend. Lengthen. And melt. Then the knees rising all the way up. And then all the way down. Halfway lift. And left foot back. Inhale. Down dog through your vinyasa, which again could be cat and cow. Drawing the shoulders down the back. From downward dog, the left leg will rise when you get there. And through. Beautiful. Inhale. And forward bend. Lengthen. And soften. Bend the knees, rising all the way up. And then bring the hands to touch in front of your heart. And just take a few moments to receive, to feel, to breathe. Inhale, and then bend your knees, reach the arms forward and up and come into a little chair pose. Lift the toes up, press the heels down in a little apart. So I want you to kind of feel your outer glutes working a little bit, okay? Draw the belly in, just nice neutral lower back. Inhale, and as you exhale, you can sink a little bit lower down if that works for you and bring your fist to your hips. And then arms come forward and up and just rise a little bit. Exhale, sinking. Inhale, rising up as the arms come up. Just following your own breath. Don't have to go super deep or super far, just kind of working with that pulse. Use your heels. Really good. Last time coming down, and then we'll straighten the legs as we rise up. Interlace your fingers and press the palms up to the sky. Keep your knees just unlocked, just a little soft, tailbone kind of heavy. Inhale to lengthen, and as you exhale, take a side stretch. Doesn't matter to me which side. Stay for a breath. Inhale up through center, and as you exhale, go to the other side and stay for a breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale up through center. Gently release your arms. And you can be still, or again, maybe there's fidgeting, maybe there's shaking. Okay, we're going to inhale again, and then we're going to exhale and sit down, if possible, through chair pose. So we sink the hips, reach the arms forward, and just see how it goes. To try with no hands. You might need your hands, and that's totally fine. And then gather your belly in and lay all the way down on your back again. Good. Okay, so let's just take a moment to check in with the core. We want to kind of meet everyone where we're at with core. So just inhaling, and as you exhale, gather in. So one way of thinking about this is hip points and low ribs. Those 4 points draw together towards the belly button. And at the same time, the pelvic floor gathers up towards that same point. Okay, so the spine doesn't change. It's just kind of a gathering in through the whole thing. You can keep that, or you can interlace your fingers behind your head and lift your shoulder blades up. Okay, and then we'll start with marching, which I love because it's really good for pretty much all of us. So as you inhale, just lifting up the right foot, and as you exhale, putting it down, and then same thing on the left side. And we're focusing on gathering the belly in and up. Okay, some of you are pretty comfortable with this. If you want to go a little bit further, you can lift your feet up so that the shins are parallel, and we'll tap instead. Keep drawing that belly in and up. Try to keep your jaw relatively soft. It can help to look up to the ceiling rather than at your legs. And then we can add a little bit of a twist, okay? So as the right leg goes down, the right elbow can come towards the left knee. And you can do this in either of those variations. And if this is feeling easy and you want more, on the exhale, rather than tapping the foot down, you can straighten it towards the floor. And that's just going to be a little bit of a different sensation. And I want you to be in a place where you feel like you're being challenged, but not stressed. Nothing should hurt. Should feel like you can sustain it for a few reps. Keep breathing. We're just going to do the one today, one core exercise. Some people menstruate around the full moon, and it's not that it's unsafe to do core on your menstrual period. It just isn't that comfortable. If you do happen to be menstruating, just take it a bit easier. And feel free to take a break at any time. We're going to do about 2 more rounds each side. See if you have that in you. Okay, last one each side. And that's it. So let's take a rest. You can take soles of the feet together, knees open wide, or knees together, feet wide, and take some really nice, conscious, soft belly breaths. Sigh if you want. And then take your feet about mat's distance apart and come back to those windshield wipers that you may have done earlier. Just softly rolling out the belly and the hips. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to make our way back to downward facing dog from here. A couple ways to do that. If you've got that full moon energy going for you, you can gather your knees in, you can rock and roll forward and back along your spine, and then you could hop back if you're comfortable or step back into your downward dog and go right ahead through your vinyasa if you want to. You could also roll to your side and just sort of climb your way up to your downward dog and then take your vinyasa, keeping in mind that vinyasa can absolutely be cat and cow. And feel free to modify it so that you feel like you have integrity in your shoulders and your back. And you're not just sort of forcing your body to take a shape that doesn't work for you. And when you get to downward dog, take a nice deep breath. Exhale at your mouth if you want. And then bring your knees down for me so that you're on hands and knees, please. So we've got a nice integrated core now. So just kind of feel that kind of hugging in, keeping the natural curve of your spine. Think shoulders on the back and bring your knees a little bit closer together. Okay, then extend your right leg back behind you, keeping your spine nice and steady. And as you exhale, bring the knee in towards your chest and then open it to the right. Try not to change anything else. And then extend the leg back behind you. Good. And then bring the knee in, open to the right, like a dog peeing on a hydrant. Extend the leg back behind you. And one more time, nice full circle. Beautiful. Okay, and then we're going to bring the knee in, and this time extend your leg straight out to the right. Let the foot land. That's it. I'm tucking my back toes under for this. I find it's more comfortable for my knee. You can do that with me if it works better for you. Then we're just going to rock a little bit back and forth, feeling for a bit of a stretch in the inner thigh. How far you rock is up to you. I find I get more of a stretch if I stick my bum out a little bit. I don't mind if your right foot stays completely on the floor or not. Just try to pay attention to what you're feeling, what feels most supportive and right for you. Beautiful. And then we're going to come back up to that hands and knees place. And then we're going to step the right foot forward for a lunge. You're just going to gather that leg in and step it up. Yeah, still with me? Okay, so I would like your toes tucked under here. Feel free to pad your knee if you'd like a little bit of padding there. And then we're going to rise up into same kind of lunge that we did in our sun salutations. Hug those inner thighs together, draw the tailbone a little bit down, get nice and long through the sides of your waist. And pressing the hips slightly down, try to soften your shoulders so that your neck is nice and long. Come back to your Ujjayi breath if you've lost it. And then interlace your fingers, press the palms up to the sky, and try a little side stretch to the right. Okay, and then come up through center and find a twist. So you could bring your left elbow right across your thigh, coming into a bit more of a compressed twist, or you could have your left hand a little wide to the side and reaching your right arm up to the sky. Pressing the hips a little bit forward, you might find that you can actually lengthen your stance a bit here. And you could also lift up your back knee if that works for you right now. Draw the shoulders down your back. Inhale, and then gently release the hands, release the back knee. Let's straighten out the front leg, giving it a little rest. Feel free to put your blocks underneath your hands if that's helpful. You can definitely keep a bend in the front knee. And let's just take 3 breaths here, lengthening the spine as you inhale. Exhale, maybe out the mouth if you have something to release this full moon. And fold, and do that 2 more times. Okay, and then look forward and come back into that lens shape with your left hand wide. So some of you will be returning to the same twist that you just did, reaching the right arm up. So it's an open twist. Okay, hugging the shoulders onto the back, let the hips descend forward. And some of you might bend the back leg, reach back, and add a quadricep stretch here. I've got my right toes lifted right up off the ground. They're really nice and active. And my hips are really pressing forward. Inhale, and then gently release the foot. Find your hands to either side of your front foot. We're just going to step forward. So you can pick up the knee, lift the hips a little bit. You might take a couple of hops to come forward, or maybe it's just one step. Take a halfway lift, and then exhale to fold again, maybe out your mouth. The mood of the full moon is sometimes about kind of releasing, letting go, and exhaling out the mouth can help with that. And then we're going to rise up. Take your time, rolling or sweeping. Maybe some fidgeting, shaking, dancing at the top, or maybe just receiving. Okay. So I'm just going to show you this one before we do it so that you know what it looks like. And I've got my 2 blocks just to either side of my mat here so that I have them ready if I need them. So I'm just going to show you a little bit sped up what we're going to do. So we're going to take hands at heart. I'll talk you through all of this. We're going to come into a little warrior 3. Okay, hands can still be at the heart. And actually, I'd recommend that for balance, even pressing the fingertips into each other. Then we're going to draw the knee in. This is a balance challenge, okay? And then the knee opens to the side like we did on hands and knees. We'll send the leg back. We'll try to do that 3 times, okay? And then after the 3rd one, we're going to open up, bring that left hand down, and come into half moon. So we'll just do our best, okay? Make sense? Let's give it a try. So bring your hands together in front of your heart. Take a moment to find your core and imagine you're leaning into your left foot and kind of plug your right leg into its socket and then tip forward. Keep a little bit of a bend in your left knee so you're not locking it. And you can press the fingertips into each other. Pakini Mudra. Inhale, and then bring your knee in any amount. I don't care what this looks like, okay? Just try your best. And then open the knee to the side and send it back. 3 big circles, do the best you can. This is gonna work both of your hips, okay? Keep your gaze really steady on something that's not moving. And then after your third one, allow your body to open. Left hand can come to the block, reaching the right arm up to the sky and opening the hips. Inhale, and then softly step back to warrior two. Ooh, nice, you guys. Good sports. I know that's a challenging sequence. Okay, softening the tailbone down, knee over the ankle. Let's reach the arms up to the sky, interlace the fingers, press them up, and gently side stretch to the back of the mat. And then straighten your front leg, come up through center. Parallel your feet so that all your toes face the long edge. Release your hands around behind your back, interlace your fingers. And if you prefer having a strap for this, that's great. You can have the palms facing forward, holding the strap. Hug the elbows together, lift your heart, and then go ahead and fold forward, soft knees, releasing. If this is creating stress anywhere in your body, including your knees or your shoulders, just bring your hands down, that's fine. Taking some nice deep breaths here. Beautiful. And then gently release your hands if you haven't. Take a halfway lift, walk your hands up to the top of your mat, and then step to the back, coming into downward dog. Optionally, take some version of a vinyasa, or maybe you want a little rest in child's. Okay, meet me on hands and knees, please. Knees together, core gently engaged, shoulders on the back, just looking comfortably forward. Left leg extends back. Inhale, and as you exhale, draw the knee in, and then open to the left. And then back up to the sky. 3 of these. I know this is intense work on the outer hips. It does benefit our sacral area, lower back, other things, and we will stretch out the hips later, I promise. Okay, and then after your third one, draw the knee in and extend the legs straight out to the left. Nice. You can tuck the toes under if that is more comfortable for your knee and just rock. Making it work for you. Again, generally, if you kind of stick the bum back a little bit, you might find that that helps you open your inner thigh a little bit more. Some days I like to bring my hips all the way to my heel. Other days I do not. Just check in with what feels right for you. There's no specific goal. Around 5 breaths here. And then we'll come up through center and step into a lunge. So that left foot is just going to come right up to where the hands are. Feel free to pad your back knee if you need to. Rise up into a nice simple low lunge. Tailbone down, hips gently coming forward. Soft shoulders, long sides of the waist. Interlace the fingers, press the palms up to the sky, and gently side stretch to the left. That's away from your back leg. Then up through center, hands together and elbow across your thigh, or right hand open, left arm up. So we're in some version of a twist. Shoulders on the back, chest nice and tall. You could lift up your back knee in any of these twists if you want to. Just get nice and strong through that back leg. Inhale, and then gently release your hands. Back knee returns to the earth, and let's release that back leg. Feel free to use your blocks. Just taking about 3 breaths here to release the hamstring back of the leg. So inhaling to lengthen. Exhale, soften, maybe out the mouth again if you're feeling like you're kind of building up that energy and wanting to release it. And then we'll look forward, bend into the front leg and come into that nice open twist. So the right arm is going to go wide, left arm up. Okay, I might lengthen my stance a little bit. I kind of want to get onto the front of my back thigh. And then you can try bending your back leg and see if the quadricep stretch is accessible to you today. And I like to really let my hips go low, but I'm super active with my left foot. Toes are lifting, and it's okay if they angle off a little bit to the side for this one. Awesome. Inhale, and then as you exhale, let's gently release the leg. And we're gonna aim towards stepping forward. Just do that nice and slow, lifting the hips, lifting the back knee. Maybe it's a few or one hop to the top of the mat. Halfway lift. When you get there, exhale, fold. And then again, take your sweet time to roll up. Maybe it's a few breaths. Maybe it's just one. And you know we're gonna balance in a few moments. So I like to use that rolling up as an opportunity to kind of draw the energy along my core, root my feet into the earth. Checking in at the top, maybe there's movement, fidgeting. Maybe it's just receiving in stillness. Beautiful. Okay. So this is going to be our last standing sequence. We're going to move on to some other things from here. I know this is a challenging one, so let's work with it here. So you can take that Hakini Mudra or palms at your heart, lean into your right foot, and really pull that energy up along your core so that you can plug your left leg in and start to come into the warrior one, or what is this? Warrior 3 is the number. Left leg extends back behind you. Really find that sense of stability and support. Hardest forward, back is neutral, okay? Then we're challenging our balance, bringing the knee in. It's okay to hold a wall if you need to. Opening the knee to the left side and back behind you. Just 2 more of these and then we're done forever if you want. Maybe we'll do it again next week, but you never have to. Last one. And then after your third, we use that opening of the hips to allow the arms to open, the leg to go back. You can put your hands on the blocks, which are hopefully there. Mine are not. I'm just using my balance and I'm going to see how that goes. Feet really nice and active, fingers active, helps, gaze steady. Inhale and then softly back to warrior 2. Ah, so good. When warrior 2 is a rest, right? Knee right over the ankle, arms open, soften, find your stance. Reach the arms up, interlace the fingers, press the palms up to the sky, and lean back. Then come up through center, release your arms. Turn your toes to face the long edge so that you're in that nice long space. And if you like the variation of interlacing the fingers around behind the back and folding like that, you can absolutely take that variation again. Otherwise, you can take hands on hips, hug the elbows back, and fold, bringing your fingertips down underneath your shoulders. I'm going to give you two other options that you could do here. Option one that I quite like, walking the fingertips forward, bending the knees a bit, and then kind of tractioning the spine, letting the heart melt between the thighs. Option two, you could, or three, I guess, you could place your hands in between your feet and work the crown of your head down towards the earth. Hot tip for this one, if you widen your feet, you have less far to go. It'd be easier to get your head down with your feet nice and wide. Okay, and then if you're in this one, you can stay just working with that little bit of weight on your head and see how it feels. Or you could use it as a setup for teddy bear headstand. And maybe I'll just talk about this one since I haven't in a while. So you can see your hands comfortably. Moving off a little bit here. The elbows are directly over top of the wrists and they're making a tripod with your head. So if you can't see your hands, they're too close to your face. And then you press the hands and the head down, gather the knees in. You can walk your feet in as well and place your knees on literally your triceps, like a little shelf, toes together, and you lift the heels up to your bum. From there, you could do half headstand, drawing your belly in, pressing into your hands, and coming into a little arch with your spine, keeping the knees in close. And if you feel very comfortable and safe coming into a full headstand, you can. And that's going to be a little bit of a pike. So your feet would be just slightly ahead of you. So if you fall, the feet would come in front of you rather than behind you. Okay. When you're ready to come out of whatever variation you've chosen, let's all take a moment to just release the hands, release the head. You can give the head a little shake. Take a halfway lift, turn towards the top of your mat again. Step back to downward facing dog, and you can take your last variation of a vinyasa if you want one. And that again could be cat and cow. You could also just be hanging out in downward dog or child's. Okay, so from here, I would love for you to find your way onto your back again. So if you're in downward dog, you could walk your feet forward. You could bring your knees down and flip over. Doesn't matter to me which way you're facing. And we're going to take a bridge. And I think I'll give you an active option. And if you're ready to kind of move into that yin pose, which we're going to do after this one, you could take supported bridge and just rest there while we're doing the more active bridges. So depending on where your energy is at today, you could take one of your blocks or bolster or cushion or whatever you've got and place it underneath the pelvis. And then just kind of soften into this shape. The feeling is quite different in supported bridge than active bridge, but the shape, there are some similar benefits and it kind of looks similar. So you can go ahead and do that, or you can come with me into a little bit more of an active back bend shape. So you've got your heels underneath your knees. I like outer hips distance apart. Classically, it's sit bone distance apart. So up to you and your body. Okay, elbows beside the ribs, pressing the elbows down and apart, hug the shoulders onto the back. Do engage the core, but I actually don't need you to tuck your tailbone. Just keep it neutral. Press into the heels, lift up your bum. So you can stay here or interlace your fingers underneath your body and snuggle those shoulders in. Hug your knees together, lengthen the knees and the chest away from each other. Think of trying to stretch your belly like toffee. Gently release down onto your back. If you're still in supported bridge, just stay there. We're taking a rest, but we're not quite done with the back bends. Keep your feet on the floor. Okay, and then we're gonna do, excuse me, one more. And I'll give you the option to take this into wheel if you want to do that. I find full moons are always the time when I really want to do the back bends, the heart openers, the releases. Okay, so set up your feet again. For me, I like, again, outer hip distance apart. And I find that if I'm going to come into full wheel, if anything, I like them wider and slightly farther away. Not too much. I still want the heels roughly under the knees, but I want a nice wide base to work with. Elbows by the ribs, same setup as bridge. Shoulders on the back, gently engage the core, lift the hips. And I like to come into my bridge first so I get that nice length through my spine. Of course, you can stay here. If you want to try for wheel, you can place your hands beside your ears. I haven't done this in a while. I'm going to see how it goes. And I like the hands actually pretty wide. Then I like to lower my hips and press up to the crown of my head with my hands and then just see how that feels. So I'm going to do that while not talking. Okay, then my feet are actually widening, hands are widening, and I can work the arms towards straight. Hugging the elbows just like bridge, nice and long, neck relaxed. And that's a 1 breather for me today. But if you can stay for 5 breaths, that's great. But if you get a red light, which I got from my wrist, was not happy about that. So you can gently just tuck your chin in and make your way down. And then everybody can rest. If you're still in supported bridge, that's perfect. Just stay there and everybody breathe into your low belly. You can let your knees rest together, or if you like, soles of the feet together, knees wide. And then step your feet, mat distance apart if they're not already. And if you have been in supported bridge, you can gently lift your hips up and remove your prop so that your bum comes down. And then let your knees rock to the left. You can place your left foot, that's your bottom foot, on top of your right thigh. Open your arms up and look to the right. If that foot on thigh doesn't feel quite right, just let the foot rest on the ground and breathe into your belly. Softening into it. Just a few more breaths, but kind of transitioning into that yin intention of just slowing down and receiving. And then when you're ready, you can come up through center and over to the other side. You might need to adjust your hips a bit on the mat if they kind of wandered off to the side. Just lift and lower them. And then let the knees fall to the right. You may or may not want your right foot on top of your left thigh. That's just going to add a bit of weight. For some of us, that feels amazing. For others, not so much. Gravity is fine. Arms can be open. You can look to the left if that feels okay in your neck. And breathe into your belly. Couple more breaths here. And then when you're ready, you can come back up through center, and you might want to just wash side to side a couple of times. You might also want to draw your knees in and rock from side to side. Okay, so we're gonna work into our promised hip opener. And we're gonna do this in a yin way, so we're gonna hold it a little longer. And my favorite way to do thread the needle in a yin way is with a wall. So if you have a wall, I'd love for you to make your way there. You don't even have to be that close to the wall, just maybe about a shin's distance away. Okay, and if you don't have a wall, you don't need one necessarily. If you have a hip opener that you know really works for you, I don't mind at all if you do that one. So again, I'm not too close to the wall here. I've got my heels against the wall, and then I can take my right ankle across my left thigh and bend the left leg. So I'm just kind of using gravity to do this. Now I'm relatively open in my hips, so right away, I'm just not feeling that much. So I'm gonna come a little closer to the wall. If you're feeling too much, move away, okay? So I'm just going to try that again. And I want to be in a place where I've kind of got some gravity. I've got a bit of a stretch. Again, I can feel it, but it's not stressful. And then depending on kind of how your proportions are, I have my right elbow on the ground and I have my right hand bracing my right thigh. And I'm just keeping a little bit of a flex in my left foot. So that's just the only effort I really need to keep there. If your bum is lifting up off the wall, or off the floor rather, you're too close to the wall, so move away. And or you could put a prop underneath your bum. Okay, this is a yin pose, so we're going to hold it in stillness and actually relax. You could sway a little from side to side, but I'd love for you to do that just to find the spot you want to commit to. And then if possible, just kind of melt into that one place rather than kind of fidgeting and moving around with it, which just has a bit of a different intention. Okay. Last couple of breaths, no rush. And then when you feel ready, you can gently release your legs up against the wall and maybe give them a little wobble or just let them be still. And then when you're ready, we'll switch sides, taking the left ankle to the right thigh, bending the right leg until you feel a stretch that works for you. And the two sides might be a bit different. So you might need to shuffle a little closer to the wall or a little farther away to find the stretch you're looking for, which should feel like something, but not anything stressful. You want to really avoid any kind of tingling, burning kind of sensations, pain sensations, but a dull ache is sort of what we're looking for. A couple more breaths here. And you can also listen to your intuition if you need a little more time on a certain side or if you need to come out early. I always prefer the wisdom of the body to the wisdom of symmetry, because bodies are not really all that symmetrical in the end. When you feel ready, the legs can go up against the wall and you can give them a little wobble or not. And just pause for a moment with your legs up against the wall, feeling the energy flow down into your hips and belly. And we're going to make our way from here into Shavasana. And if you like legs up the wall as Shavasana, that's great. You may just want to come a little closer. So the way to do that, or one way to do that, is to roll to your side, shuffle your bum closer, and then send the legs back up. You could also put something underneath your bum for a little extra inversion. Or you could come off the wall, or maybe you don't have a wall, and just take your Shavasana laying on your back, maybe a bolster under the thighs, maybe nothing. And if you find that you need a little bit of wiggling or moving around before you can rest, feel free to take that. You might want to take something symmetrical like Happy Baby after the asymmetrical hip opening. And then just let yourself get comfortable. Let yourself rest. Take a deep breath. And then do nothing but receive. Take a moment to check in with how you're feeling. If you have the time to stay in Shavasana longer and you want to, you are more than welcome to do that. If you feel that this practice is complete for you, you can begin to deepen your breath. Bring in some little wiggles, rocks. A stretch maybe. Eventually drawing in your knees and rolling to one side. And then up to a seat with your hands maybe together at your heart or over top of your heart. Taking a moment to honor and acknowledge whatever it took for you to get here to your yoga practice today. To honor and acknowledge the long and complex lineage of teachers that is with us in our yoga. And to honor and acknowledge the sacredness of the land that we practice on. Thank you for sharing that practice with me.